We're going to talk with Dr. Itch. He's the director of the Lanacane Itch Information Center. His name is Dr. Stephen Pennisi. This is the itchy, dry season, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. Listening to the weather forecast, I just sent some chills through my bones. But when you look at most of the United States right now, it's quite cold and it's very, very dry indoors. And that's what the problem is during the wintertime, is that we are indoors and we have that heat on quite high, and that's very, very dry, and it can really do a job on our skin, Steve.
Why do people scratch and itch?
Well, the reason why an individual scratches is because there is an itch. There are what we call itch nerves in the skin, and when they're aggravated in any way, shape, or form, they send a message to the brain, and the brain perceives itch, and then the brain sends a message down through the spinal cord to the muscles of the hand and the arm to remove whatever the offending agent is, or in this case, to itch the area.
So what happens in the wintertime that causes people to want to itch more?
The skin is damaged. We lose a lot of moisture through the skin in the wintertime because we're indoors. The relative humidity indoors can fall well below 30%. Mm-hmm. The relative humidity is a measure of the amount of moisture in the air, and when it goes below a certain level, our skin becomes more susceptible to lose that moisture, and when you do lose that moisture, there is damage. Your skin becomes very easily damaged because it can't repair itself very well.
Okay, so it does get down to moisture and the fact that it's very dry. Then I suppose it would be really good to wash your hands a lot and take a lot of baths, right?
No, actually the opposite is true.
What? Hey, that's water.
I tell people to take less frequent showers and cooler showers actually in the wintertime, especially those who have the problems with the dry skin, because the body has its own natural oils that it produces in the skin, and when you do excessive bathing and you use very hot water and really harsh soaps and detergents, you actually strip the skin of those natural oils. And therefore, people who are very clean are the ones who may have more problems with dry skin in the wintertime. And I just tell them, just be a little bit less clean in the wintertime, and I think you'll be a little bit better when it comes to dry skin.
I'm sure you've had people come into your office who feel like maybe they're itching more and they've got all this little eczema or something on their skin, and they feel like they're dirtier because of that. And you're saying they're actually cleaner.
Well, I'm not saying they're cleaner. I'm just saying they should try to be less cleaner, because in the process of cleaning, you actually strip the oils, the natural oils from the skin.
Yeah. Now, I have a problem with my hands, for example. I wash my hands a lot. I'm just kind of a fanatic about that because I had a guest on a few years ago who talked about all the germs that are on your hands. And so now I wash my hands a lot, but what happens right around the fingernails is that I get a lot of little cuts, and especially in the wintertime, they get so dry. What can I do about that?
If you really need to wash your hands that frequently, try to use a milder soap, first of all, or a cleanser that you may use, and try to use a moisturizer on your hand as much as possible in between those washings, because that will help seal in the moisture. Because when you damage the skin, you allow more moisture to be lost to the environment. The moisturizer will help to seal the skin and keep that moisture in so that your skin can repair itself.
Okay, so we know don't wash as often, don't bathe as often. Put more humidity in the air, so use a humidifier, I suppose you're saying, right?
Sure, if you can purchase a room humidifier or get central humidification in your home, it's certainly an investment, but it may be worthwhile to help you get through these winters.
And Dr. Pennisi, why do you have an Itch Information Center? Tell us about that.
Well, several years ago, the makers of Lanacane, which is an anti-itch cream, felt that people out there just don't know enough about itch, don't know, really what causes itch and how to treat it properly, and we decided to really put on an educational program where we disseminate lots of information about itching, not only in the wintertime, but also in the summertime when we've got the bugs, the mosquitoes, and the poison ivies and things like that. So we actually have two times of the year. We have the summer and we have the winter itch index, which an individual can look at to see what parts of the country where you may find yourself in an itchy situation.
So what's our itch index here in Des Moines?
In Des Moines, as well as all of the surrounding states right now, you're in an area of high concern.
Yep.
The temperature is low, and people are indoors, and they have their heats on high indoors, and the humidity is very low indoors.
So it's not just me, right?
It's not just you.
Everybody's having this trouble.
Even over here on the East Coast, in the New York area, we're also in an area of high concern.
Let's try the phone lines. Marty, you're up first with Dr. Itch. Hi, Marty.
Hi.
What's your
I
question?
just have a question. I read somewhere or heard somewhere that mineral oil actually draws moisture away from the skin.
mineral oil at a very high concentration, if you use full-strength mineral oil, that is known to happen. But in products containing mineral oil, it's at a low enough concentration where it truly serves as an emollient to form a nice film on the skin to keep that moisture in. So at very high concentrations, that is true, but in a concentration found in most products on the market, that would not be the case.
I have better luck with glycerin products than lanolin or mineral oil. And I've been in the medical field on and off in a laboratory for 17 years, so I've had the splitting of the fingers on the ends. And, I tell everybody, you know, I get by, I don't want to give the product, but Norwegian formula, the emulsion and the hand cream, your Lanacane lotion I haven't tried, but I tell people, I said, leave your skin almost wet and then put your hand cream on. And it helps seal the moisture, and it's so important.
That's hard, though. It's hard to put cream on when the hands are wet, though.
I know. Well, if you have a lotion, but it does, I think it seals moisture. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good advice. Thanks, Marty.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, let's go to Marvin. You're on with Dr. Stephen Pennisi. Hi, Marvin.
Good morning.
What's your question?
My question is, I have a son that has a severe problem with his hands in the wintertime especially, and even summertime, severe cracking, and he's tried about everything, different kinds of lotions and different Vaseline, go to bed at night with gloves on and with Vaseline, and it heals for a little while, and then it turns up again.
Wow,
and
that's pretty bad.
He is an electrician, so he's often working with his gloves off.
Well, I was going to suggest the use of, does he work outdoors?
Yes,
Yeah. Well, there's very little that he can do. That's his way of making a living. There's very little that you can do. Moisturizers certainly, as much as possible, will certainly help. However, if that doesn't seem to work, then don't rely on the over-the-counter products. Then go right to have him see a dermatologist. They may be able to give him a little bit stronger medication to use. But certainly, the fact that he uses his hands for a living and is outdoors is very little that you can do. Especially if you can't wear gloves. If you can, that's great. That helps. And if you can use moisturizers on a regular basis, that really helps.
Is this something that could be inherited?
Well, dry skin itself is not necessarily inherited, but in individuals, just because of what they do for a living and how their hands are used. If you do lots of manual labor, and if that's part of your family, and all the people in your family have done that over the years, certainly everyone is going to have the same type of exposure, because if you're outdoors, not only are you exposed to the cold weather and the wind, you're also exposed to a lot of sun, solvents, detergents, and lubricants that actually can defat the skin. So it may have more to do with the type of work an individual does in being outdoors than it does being hereditary, but it all has to do with the lack of moisture in the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, several years ago, I used to have it that I'd have it on the thumb, say on the right side, and then on my big toe. Well, that was kind of odd, we thought, but then it would finally go away again.
Well, it's less probable being on the toe.
Yeah,
if something like that occurred on the toe, I would definitely see a doctor about that. It might be something that's not just dry skin.
Okay, thank you very much.
Marvin, you weren't going barefoot outside in the winter,
no.
were you? Okay.
No, I wasn't. It's almost too cold to go with shoes on.
Yeah, I know it is, isn't it? Thanks, Marvin.
Thanks a lot.
Pat, you're up next with Dr. Pennisi. Hi, Pat.
Good morning.
What's your question?
Well, I don't have a question. I just had a suggestion.
Okay, good.
Every night after my bath, I put glycerin on my feet, my knees, my elbows, and, of course, my hands. And it works very well. Now, the rest of my body, I just use a plain old lotion.
Okay, so you're suggesting the glycerin, too. We heard that before.
Pardon?
The glycerin lotion, we heard that before, too, from someone else.
This is that thick, greasy stuff.
Oh.
And you rub it in, but it'll go in easy after you take your bath. Don't put it on without, your hands being thoroughly damp, like after you did the dishes or something like that. But like I say, after a bath, I put it on. It works great.
Why do you put it on your feet? Do you have dry feet?
My feet have always been cracked, always. Now they're about soft like a baby's bottom.
Isn't that something?
Now that, like I say, it works for me. May not work for everyone.
Okay.
But I love it.
Good. Thanks, Pat. What do you think, Dr. Pennisi?
Well, glycerin certainly is an ingredient that's used in lots of moisturizers, and it certainly has it has a history of effectiveness as an emollient, and I can certainly understand why she's getting those kind of effects.
And Dr. Pennisi, what do you think of these over-the-counter lotions? Are they good for you? A lot of them, I think, don't really help that much. It seems like that you got to use an awful lot of it to get your itching to stop.
Well, Steve, I like to divide these types of products into three different categories. We have the ointments on one end, we have the creams in the middle, and we have the lotions on the other end. In fact, the ointment-type products are really the best because they adhere to the skin very well, and they stay in place on the skin.
What's the difference between an ointment and a lotion and a cream?
An ointment is typically based with a lot of the heavier ingredients, including petrolatum. And then when you get away from the ointments, you get to the creams, have more water in it. And then as you get to the lotions, there's even more water. Now, the lotions are the most elegant on the skin, but they're the ones that don't last very long on the skin. So you go from one extreme to the other. Now, the ointments are not very elegant, and they're the types of things that you'd prefer to use before you go to bed so that you're not going into the office in the morning with all of this petrolatum goop all over your face, all over your hands. But those are the best things to use, especially at nighttime. And then if you need to use them during the day, you can go to the creams and the lotions, which have a little bit more water, and then look for the types that contain silicones. Silicones are very good, and they go very well with some of the creams and lotions.
What bugs me is most of these companies put perfume into their ointments or lotions or creams, and I think that causes more problems because a lot of us have allergic reactions to it, or it can cause us to itch even more, can't it?
Well, those people who know that they have problems with fragrances, botanicals, and things like that should avoid products as much as they can with fragrance in them. And you can very easily see that on the package, and you can just look for the word fragrance. If it doesn't contain fragrance, then you know you're okay.
Okay. Phyllis, you're up next with Dr. Stephen Pennisi. Hi, Phyllis.
Yes, I was wondering about amount of intake of water, and also what about like medications like Lasix that you have to take because of health problems?
Mm-hmm.
Well, regardless of what medications you're taking, the key here is to make sure that your body has enough water to replenish the skin. And if you dehydrate yourself, certainly there isn't going to be any water available for the skin. And if you have dry skin, it's not going to heal properly. You know, the skin needs its moisture, its natural moisture to heal. So if you know that you're losing a lot of water from certain medications, then you should probably take as much water in as possible. If it's not there and it's not available, then your skin can't use it. So it's best, I tell people to keep themselves as hydrated as possible, just so that there is the water available.
Okay, what about medications?
Well, there are medications that actually cause us to urinate more, than if we didn't use them. And of course, that there's a loss of moisture there in the whole body, and those individuals need to replenish by drinking more water.
And caffeine.
Caffeine is also, a drug actually that helps, the urination process, or helps increase the amount of urine that's produced. And as a result, you may find yourself needing to drink more water. You should drink as much water as possible during the day.
All right, thanks,
fellas.
fellas.
Okay, thank you.
And Artis, you're up next with Dr. Stephen Pennisi. Hi, Artis.
Hi.
What's your question?
Yes, I'm a diabetic, and I itch all the time. And I just noticed a new cream out for sugar diabetes. Is that correct? And what type should I buy?
Well, individuals with diabetes, because of their poor circulation, always have problems with their skin, and it may not necessarily be related to the wintertime or anything else. You probably have this problem all year round.
I do have it all year round.
Yeah, the best thing that I could suggest, short of you seeing your dermatologist, would be to find yourself a good moisturizer. Again, the best thing that you can do, rather than trying to deal with any over-the-counter products, just get yourself a good moisturizer and use it as much as possible, and see the dermatologist about the condition. I'm sure you're talking about mostly around the legs and the feet.
Yes, mainly on the legs, sometimes around the stomach area, where the elastic hits me.
Yeah. Have you seen a dermatologist about the skin problem?
Yes, I had 2 different creams or ointments. I might have had the ointment first and then the cream.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you would have to use quite a bit of it. In other words, you have to use it quite regularly. You're better off just dealing with a cosmetic moisturizer on a regular basis. Find yourself a good one. Sometimes you have to try, and it's trial and error sometimes, and go to the store and get a few and try them out. And but the thing is, just don't buy it, use it.
Yeah, thanks, Artis, for your call. Dr. Pennisi, I learned quite a bit today. I learned to take fewer baths and showers in the wintertime. Here, I thought that would help if you got more water on you. You need moisture. I learned ointments are the best thing. They're better than creams or lotions. Learned that you need humidity, lots of humidity in the air. Keep drinking lots of water. And I also learned that we're in one of the itchiest places of the United States, right?
That's correct.
What is the itchiest city? I mean, don't on your little dry, itchy skin index, don't you point out some itchy cities?
Well, in fact, Steve, we do. We usually tally them up at the end of the month, and in the month of December, which only a few days away, was we have the itchiest city in the country is Tonopah, Nevada.
Because of the dryness and
and the cold weather in the mountain areas. That had actually 95% of the time that was in an area of high concern throughout the entire month of December.
What are the least itchy places, like down south, like Florida, where it's humid all the time, or what?
Well, right now, if you were to look at our map on the net, you'll see that the Florida area, Louisiana area, and the southern part of Texas are areas of very low concern, and also the west coast of the United States and the Northeast are now areas of least concern.
Great. Well, thanks for all your help.
Okay, Steve.
It's Dr. Itch, Dr. Stephen Pennisi, the director of the Lanacane Itch Information Center.